of victories and everything in between. We are the leading media company to amplify women veterans. Support for this series is brought to you by Redefining You Foundation, dedicated to a holistic approach for women service members and military spouses, addressing the unique challenges faced when transitioning out of the military. Their 4-tier approach includes education, information, empowerment, and transformation to redefine your life moving forward. For more information, go to redefinefutureyou.org. Now, on to our show. So, we are back with our final show with this 3-part series. So, today is 3 of 3 in the conversation with our beautiful sisters from Redefining You Foundation, the wonderful Shelley Willis and the incredible Evelyn Tuiana. Today, we are rounding out this conversation with the idea of accountability and finding the right people to have in your life that will hold you accountable, and also owning the responsibility of self-accountability. This conversation, I feel, was incredibly good for our final conversation because you can't only transform your life and continue on a good path if you don't have somebody, whether it's a spouse, a sister, a friend, a coworker, an acquaintance, or a sister in service that's going to hold you accountable and keep you grounded with the work that you have done. And when you slide back, hold you to what they know you're capable of doing. And you also have to know that about yourself. Like, for me, if I could look at who I was 10 years ago and who I am today and how I have changed my mindset on certain things, particularly around the conversation of validation, it's like, where do I get my validation from? Is it externally from the world or the relationship I'm in or the job I have? Or is that validation I am created as Carrie, and I am created as this woman, and my validation comes from knowing my identity and trusting that I have been created and designed for such a time as this. And when I look inward and when I look upward, that's where my self-worth comes from, not from what the world says around me. And so when I have people in my life who hold me accountable, I have this core group of women and I'm sliding, right? And they realize it and they can see it. They come to me and they tell me, "Hey, you're sliding. This isn't what you're about. Don't get wrapped up in what so and so is saying about you or what that review was or any of that stuff. Like, you are still marching out what you're supposed to be doing, and this is your journey." And so that's what we talk about today. It's really owning that space. It's really finding that good group to hold you accountable, and then also lead by example and hold your people accountable as well. So this is our last conversation we have with Shelley and Eve, and I really hope that it has been transformational for you. Instead of continuing to mask, you really pull back the curtain of your heart and of your hurts, and you walk out these things so you can be redefined and march forward from that point. All right, here we go. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us again for our third and final week of talking with the ladies behind Redefining You. So we've really done a good job, ladies, I feel, establishing this conversation and really invoking movement in these women's lives who are listening to this series. Last week, we definitely talked really well about healing. And the things that I took away from that was that gut check and the check-ins that we did on that show. Because we talked about, even, I wouldn't call it a crisis, but a current crisis, right? That was happening in my area. And it was like, oh, this gut check of, am I really truly on this healing journey, or am I just putting on these masks? We're not asking for perfection, but we're just this progress, and it's there. It really helped me see that last week. which brings us to this week with the accountability piece. Like, get your people, right? And do healing together. It's not an isolation piece. It's definitely a community involvement piece. So thank you guys for that. Like, it was a really good episode for me personally. And so I'm hoping it was beneficial for somebody that was listening, and I'm sure it was. So how y'all doing?
Good. It's Sunday, but tomorrow is another day. The week starts again.
There's a lot going on in our world. It's crazy.
Oh, it is.
So wild.
Quite a bit.
Really.
It is quite a bit. Quite a bit. So, I mean, when you think about like some of the takeaways from last week, or like at least like the homework, the list, writing down those things, those list of things. I know I talked about things that you have healed from, things you have not. Like, what if it almost comes down to what you've held on to versus, wanting. I don't know if any of you are watching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, but if you watch it, I watched it while I was working on my homework. But I just wanted to touch on that because everybody's saying, oh my God, that's the best, that's the best. And the reason why I thought it was relevant to this conversation, because what was compelling to me, what really stood out to me was the importance of processing your grief and your trauma, and how if we don't heal, the vices that we take on. I mean, like, it was a clear picture of the vices. I just think that anybody that hasn't watched it, if you're listening to this, you need to watch The Queen's Gambit. But there is a journey that she takes from the childhood trauma she suffers from her mother's, her mother's treatment and death onward through what the things that happened to her over her life. But what's just interesting is not processing that led to other things. Right?
It does. 100%. Our homework last week, glad you mentioned that, was make a list of forgiveness. What do you need to forgive? And then yourself and others. And then part 2 of that, Eve's homework was write down where you were 10 years ago. And are you still the same person today, or what's changed?
Totally not the same.
Much wiser, I would say. I thought that was a good one, Eve.
Yeah.
Many lessons learned.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The biggest one for me is this validation piece. And that really was systemic from the hurts and the longing to be validated or seen as a kid. Like, it just perpetuated until I found Jesus. That was my healing, real healing start, right? And I thought about that too, is this validation, like inward and upward validation matter. This outward validation in the world doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Who you say you are and who God says you are is what matters. And that was so helpful for me. So that is what I wrote down, was validation. Where did I seek it?
Wow. That was awesome. That's powerful. Validation. I think I'm less concerned definitely about what people think, but I think mine was more just spending your life always feeling like you're second, and then just accepting, like my power, just being able to own my power, own who I am, as far as like the level of not caring if I'm accepted or not, trying so hard to just be this thing or whatever. And then over time, just, it gets exhausting. It gets very exhausting.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So this week, we're really going to talk about in-depth accountability. And so accountability is holding yourself responsible for your actions, or somebody else holding you responsible for your choices that you've made.
Right.
And where do you want to start with that? Do you want to start talking about how you hold yourself accountable, or?
I think that's the best place to start. I mean, we can't do anything outwardly until we do the work inwardly. I mean, you have a lot of nerve to want to hold other people accountable when you don't hold yourself accountable.
Right.
That's pretty brazen, like,
That's like the plank in your own eye, right?
Yeah.
Those that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah.
There's a cliche. And then it becomes a judgmental mindset too, where you're not like truly genuine about their care. You're just judging their actions.
Definitely. Definitely. And it's almost, it's a dangerous place to be in, because you're totally, it's kind of like, people are having to me, I think this has been a year of exposure. So you can only do so much to hide and or suppress things from others. So at some point you have to start addressing them for yourself and be accountable for your actions in it. Like, have a level of self-awareness to where you always start with you first, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can be held, so that you can hold yourself accountable for whatever actions that took place that you did. I can only be responsible for what I do and say. And was that the best course of action? Should I have done that? Why didn't I listen when I was warned? Or, you know, why did I, breach trust or whatever, right? And
Right.
being able to be in a space where you can truly own that, and have a level of self, so you can be accountable for whatever role you play in anything. And then that helps you to be able to then turn around and honestly provide, say, okay, well, this is what I know I did. So now I can proceed with whatever.
Yeah. I think, and that's leveling up your healing journey too, is like you're assessing why, you're analyzing what you did because of the
Hmm.
why, and then you put it into action of what you could do better next time. And that
Hmm.
is those little baby steps of realizing and analyzing what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing, so
Yeah.
you can continue your healing journey. But if you like just think healing is a one and done, and you talked about it and it's over, it doesn't. It keeps coming up. It's a progress. And
Hmm.
I think this, holding yourself accountable and embracing the accountability culture in your
Hmm.
groups, whether that's at work, in your family, in your home, with your friends. Like, you really have to create this accountability culture, because that's proactive in your healing. And that's where the
Hmm.
ownership really begins for that. And so, without accountability, we were talking how like denial is deadly, but accountability helps. Assessing helps the healing, right? Acknowledgement and acceptance is part of healing. Denial is deadly. Well, that's kind of
Hmm.
the same thing. Without accountability, it damages yourself, it damages your friendships.
Yeah.
So we really got to
Yeah.
foster some kind of accountability culture. When you're
We
picking
And
who,
do.
and then I think a lot of it is a lot of the actions and things we do, it's all emotionally driven. So you have to look at when there's a situation, a lot of the times your emotion is what takes over when the situation is happening. It's your immediate reaction. So, others can sit there and, listen and, take criticism and think about it. Then you have others who take that defensive. They get defensive because you're like, just because that you saw something that, maybe next time if you did this, and all it is, like I said, some people can't take criticism. And so instead of you taking that criticism as just some advice, you get defensive, like you feel like you're being attacked. So your emotions right there is like, now, like Carrie's trying to give me advice on how to do a video, for example, and I'm like, oh, why she thinks she knows everything, blah blah. But all Carrie is trying to do is help me out. But what do? I feel like Carrie is trying to tell me what to do, how to do it, because she knows better. But it's not that. So a lot of it is people not sitting back and looking at the situation, like you said, analyzing, assessing. We straight go into our emotions. And when everyone knows when your emotions are in play, you could get like 4 or 5 different things depending on what type of situation that you're in.
Hmm.
And if you can't sit there and actually sit back and listen and think about what was just said to you, because there are times where someone who is actually trying to be more harmful than helpful. And so then again, you have to assess, analyze it, and then think about what your reaction is going to be. Because at the end of the day, if you can't control your emotions, which is a big thing for everybody, because your reactions is your emotions. Are you
Hmm.
calm, cool, collective? Or are you angry? Are you hurting, like you said, from a past trauma and it just triggered you? So now you're like, I just said one little thing and she like snapped. And you don't understand why that person snapped, because again, they never took responsibility for what happened, either forgiving, not even getting the acknowledgement, the apology, just still carrying it around. You know, like, that saying, like, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you, because those people are still sleeping at night while you're still holding on to grudges and being worried about, oh, I can't stand them, da da da. But that person is sleeping. They done moved on. They probably forgot about it, and probably might not remember that situation until it's brought up again, and it still might not even remember the full force of what happened, because they did it to you, but you're still holding on to it. Instead of you just saying, like, this happened, why do you still care? What is it what is that pain that keeps making you care about this certain situation? Because it might not have been that situation. It was probably something else that triggered something that you haven't dealt with, that's, causing you to feel this kind of way.
Yeah, so what's the best route when you're picking friends or picking mentors? But how do people find that accountability group or that person or that mentor or that friend, and they can just like trust and accept the words that they have to say, that they're not attacking you? What's the best advice that you guys have for that?
I think a lot of your friends offer different things. They offer different things, but also, like we discussed the last time, they're not your real friends if they don't tell you the truth.
Yeah.
The ones that tell you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Yeah, because the no big deal, like if I lash out at somebody and you guys are like, oh, it's no big deal, Carrie's just having a moment, instead of saying, Carrie, wow, like, let's talk about this. Not in the moment. It's probably not the best time to do it, especially if like there's anger or fear, or for me, like vulnerability. Like if I'm ready to cry or I'm already crying, like it's probably not the best time to have this heart to heart. Like, but
and you're gonna have one friend that identifies with that moment, and you're gonna have one that won't. You're gonna have one that's gonna call you on it right there, like, I'm gonna need you to get it all the way together. You're gonna have you may have people in your accountability circle, or people who are close to you. They'll let you have that moment, and then they'll talk to you. They'll let it pass and let you, they'll hit you up the next day. Then you're gonna and you need those two different types of people, because some of your correction and your accountability for your actions need that on the spot correction, right?
Yes.
And you have to have, even though your emotions are soaring, you still have to know that where they're coming from is a place of love. Even though it may not be received or feel that way, that's where it's coming from. And some things that we do need to be caught quick. We don't have time for 24 hours to pass so that you feel better and you get some sleep and you wake up with a new mind. No, we need to get you straight in that moment. Sure. And then there are moments where you're right. It is clearly an assessment of your mental and emotional state, and we care enough to give you that grace to do that. But I think when you think about, you can find mentorship in many ways, but mentors, where you think you're picking the mentor, a lot of times mentors pick you. They're able to see something in you that you don't see, or that they know, like, oh, like, that was me. I know, they may say, I will, and then they may say they want to mentor you, but then also then there are people who you connect with instantly, and they're like, do you mind being my mentor for X?
Yeah.
Being my mentor for Y. They're not for like a lifetime, and like your entire life. It's a specific focus area in your life.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate you saying all of that, because it does go hand in hand. I think that oh, this happened, like I was saying, it's no big deal approach is actually very harmful. It's very harmful for your friendships, your mentorships. It's like overlooking something that needs correcting, overlooking something that needs held accountable is actually harmful, not only to your healing journey, but to your friendship. Because when you step back and realize you get in an argument with somebody, you say some hurtful things, you step back and you realize that, and then you don't go to them to apologize. It's the same thing when somebody else sees something and doesn't hold you accountable, or doesn't say, hey, have you thought about this? Because the way that went down, like, maybe could be better. And like, I care about you, so let's have this conversation. I think it's very harmful when you see something and you don't say something.
Yeah.
Especially in this accountability conversation, right? In this mindset.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Definitely.
So I think too, for me, like when people you're able to find your people that you can share a lot with and share those more intimate spaces, like this accountability piece really builds trust. You guys are able to go deeper still. What do you guys think about accountability and building trust?
I think they go hand in hand. You
They
can't.
do, because if you can keep somebody accountable, like, you want to diet, you're not supposed to be eating cakes or pies, and then you go eating the cake or pie, and you be like, you're not supposed to be eating cake or pie, right? You're supposed to be on a diet, right? And then though, your fat kid inside you's be sitting there, but I want cake and pie. But your friend was like, you know what? But you eat that cake and pie already. So we're gonna go and walk 4 miles today to work off that cake and pie. And then so I'm keeping you accountable that yes, you did sneak and eat and cheat on, you had a cheat day. But at the end, we're like this. To fix that cheat day, we're gonna do 4 miles. And then it's not that that I'm just getting on her, but like, because we're friends, I'm like, we're not supposed to do this, so we trust in each other that we're going to keep each other like, nope, what time are you getting up, what time, this past summer, me and Shelly, we were getting up in the morning and we were walking 4 miles Monday through Friday. She would
4
walk
and
where she
5
lived.
miles.
Yep, 4 or 5 miles. So she would walk where she lives at, and we would be on the phone the whole time, just talking about the foundation, talking about life. But every morning, and if it depending on the weather outside, if it was raining here and it was not there, she'd walk. If it was raining there and not here, I'd walk. And you also gain trust with each other, because again, some of those stories not a lot of people know about. Stuff that you actually reveal to people that you've never told other people, that because of the military, your friends, they leave. You've moved every 3-4 years, so you meet a new group of people every time you've PCS'd while you were in the service. Every 3-4 years you met a new group of people, but those group of people are still like part of your circle. They just might not be here. And so you have your accountable circle in different places, in different spaces, that those people who like, I got your sixth. Regardless if you're in Iraq and I'm here, I got you. You're in Texas, they're in Florida, I got you.
You need that I'm gonna go get a plane ticket type of people in your life.
Yes.
I got you. I'm on my way. Got a plane ticket on my way. Whatever it is, you got, it's like, what? Okay, I'll be there. I can't get there till Friday, but I'm on my way. You need, but also in having those moments of security where you have trust, you have relationship. And I always tell people, keep your shot group tight. Don't be telling everybody your business. Yeah. Everybody don't get to know every part of you. They don't need
the title friend.
No, they don't. And they don't. I'm telling you, I tell you, me and my mom, the day my mama told me I didn't have no friends, I remember I cried in the car. No, baby, you have associates. You will know when you have a friend. Those people are not your friends. Stop telling them your business. Stop, I'm serious. And she was like, those people are not your friends. And I was like, what? Yep, those people are not your friends. And I remember I cried. You don't have friends. I was like, what? It's the truth. Yeah. And it's the truth. And you will understand. But also, you got to know how to, you have friends, but you also have to know how to be a friend and be an accountability partner. And I always tell people, I want accountability ships. I don't want friendships. I want people who are going to hold me accountable to do what I say I'm going to do. People, to me, an accountability relationship goes deeper than just friend. Like, friend is good, but it goes a little bit deeper to me.
Well, it's you wanting to be the best version of yourself. And if you don't have somebody in your life that's going to sharpen you, it's like, okay, I've made this level of success. Now, how can I diversify and ask the question and go deeper and like look for more opportunity? It's the same thing with accountability in a friendship. It's like, it's so much greater than just a friendship. Like it's
Yeah, it
magnified
is.
with
Yeah,
you.
because your accountability circle also be the one to motivate you when you're not feeling your best.
Right.
When you're feeling overwhelmed with family, work, school, kids, whatever it is, like, oh, I just don't want to do it. And then, you got to have that accountability. Like, you've been doing this for how long? What do you mean? Do you know who you are? That
Mhm.
type of person, not just be like, it'll be okay. You'll be
Right.
all right. That people saying, you'll be okay. It'll be all right. What does that
Mhm.
mean? What does that mean when you're telling somebody this? It'll pass. That doesn't help that person.
No. Sometimes
That
it's more harmful than good.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it's almost as if you don't care. That all you can
Yeah.
tell me, it's okay. You'll be all
Mhm.
right.
Right.
You'll get through it. How? People, when people are going through stuff, they want to know, like, how can you tell me? How can you motivate me to get me out of this process in my brain that I can't get out of, because
Mhm.
like, work is overwhelming. My kids aren't listening. Your marriage is going through some stuff. Besides listening, yes, it's good that you have people that'll listen, but also tell you, like,
Yeah.
if I can't help you with anything that I say, but I'm like, look, there's this hotline you can call. And it's
Okay.
also telling them to go get professional help.
Mm,
Like, some people don't want to hear that because you're coming to me, that I'm the help. No, because I am not a licensed professional with some of the stuff that you need or your friends need.
that's a real
And
good
so
point.
and some people actually need to admit that, just because I'm a good friend, that I listen to you, I let you vent. But being a good friend, if you know, like, your friend needs, like, real help, telling them
Mhm.
you need to go seek therapy, you need to go see a doctor, you need someone that has a degree and that studies this.
Yeah.
And my type of advice, or you looking for it on Facebook, asking these questions to people, is you, some people, you just got to say, look, I don't know, but I think you should call this number.
Mhm.
Or you need to enroll in something, if alcohol, substance abuse, and a lot
Get
of
some
people,
help.
yeah, get help. The best thing you can do as accountability is, if you know they need help, get help. Stop trying to be the advice all the time, when
Mhm.
what you're giving is not going to be enough to help them.
Yeah.
Very good point. And there ain't nothing wrong with a therapist. Like,
Nope.
No, I
getting
think
those
if not
blind
more
spots.
than ever this year, there's come clear that mental health is a it's not just a systemic issue. It's a human issue,
For sure.
and
For sure.
we all there is nothing wrong with. I mean, everybody don't have to know you're seeing a therapist if that's the thing, but people see therapists for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? Even with life coach, I always tell people professionally what I think I would recommend for you. If you want to get your professional life in order, I think you need a life coach. You need a someone who helps professionals. There's a certification for everything. Okay. So there's somebody out there providing that service to help you get the support that you need. And so there's really no excuse, especially now when we have minimal distractions and you have to face your truth.
Hey, y'all, just interrupting this conversation real quick to personally invite you over to our Instagram page at Freedom Sisters Media. We have so much fun over there, and we continue the conversation from the podcast and also just drop so many fun sales, ideas, thoughts, quotes, you name it. We're talking about it over there on Instagram. So join us at Freedom Sisters Media today.
So let's just talk about this moment we're in. The world shut down. And I keep bringing that because I want people to understand and know that the world shut down. The world,
Yeah.
not the United States, not the
Not
little
just your
state
home.
you live in, not your home. The entire world shut down.
Yeah.
All distractions were removed. And I always think about those moments and I said, so now it's silent. Or now you don't have any distractions. You don't have any excuses. So if you didn't have any excuses and you were able to do things, people found themselves seeking therapy or doing therapeutic things like DIY, or like, they just found ways to find a way to make a way better, right? So it took the world to shut down for a lot of people to really come to their own realization, address their own challenges, and hold themselves accountable for getting the help that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
It took for the world to stop and the distractions to go away.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have been doing a whole lot virtually with Redefining You in this moment too, in this space, and it's been really great. Like it's been amazing to sit and listen to these advice and journeys of people that you guys have been sharing the stories. But as far as when you guys do the symposium and you're teaching and you're in this moment of owning the emotional aspect of transitioning, do you guys have like a workshop or breakout session for accountability specifically? Is there a framework that you guys really try to teach?
On day one of our symposium, it's the me moment, and it goes very deep, but very unique things happen in those moments. And in those moments, what you see transpire are, I believe in, writing it down and throwing it away. So I make them cast whatever that is or whatever that issue is. I make them write it down and I make them throw it away so it no longer has life, right? In the building, we can't burn it. So, you've gone to those things where you just write it down and you burn it, throw it into the holy fire. It's symbolic, but it is. And then what happens is other people start offering advice or giving thought to somebody else's issue, but telling them you need to do this and these are the things you need to do going forward. Well, that's one thing. And then on the second day, we do the blueprint, and the blueprint is all about the work you need to do in these specific areas in order for you to get to where you see yourself going, whatever your vision is for yourself. And that blueprint project that we do on day 2, it's amazing because we're tapping into these specific areas that really make you think about it. I need to get my life in order, or I'm really not doing very well in this area. So that I need to work on that. And that might be what's holding me back from getting to here.
Right.
Whatever it is you need to do to get from this point to this point. I'm not saying to get from here to see your vision to fruition. I'm just saying what's going to activate you to move.
Right. I think even that, Shelly, my gosh, that's accountability. In order for you to you have this blueprint, this roadmap that you want to go down, and here's the end game, but you're here at point A, you got to do B, C, D, E, and F, and G to get all the way to Z, right? So like even that's an accountability piece, because if you're not moving forward, you have to assess and realize you're not moving forward and do that self-accountability.
Yep.
And we have a lot of people after day one, because Shelly will tell them, you either gonna love me or you're gonna hate me. You might be both. And a lot of them will come in on the second day and we'll go to Shelly and tell her, I really wasn't gonna come back today because that first day was rough.
Yeah. Well, and
our first day is rough. So if you did gain anything on that first day, we'll know when you show up on the second day, even if you didn't want to show up because you didn't know what was coming. So a lot of the participants that come to our event on the first day, it is a breakdown, because we go in deep and tap into those emotions and feelings and a lot of stuff that they didn't think that they would come in and actually share. So a lot of them, because the first time I went to the symposium, and then I think I was still transitioning, and I went to SFL TAP, and I went in there and I said something about going to the symposium, and the guy there was like, oh, she was like, isn't that y'all get your hair done? That's what, because it was for women, that their thought process was, oh, so y'all can get your hair done and get your nails done, and that's what it for. And I was like, so I was like, no, sir. And I broke it down to him what that symposium was, and I even came back and told Shelly, because the next symposium was coming. So a lot of people, when they see it, they always, Shelly always asks them, is this what you thought you were coming here to get? Is this what you expected? And 9 times out of 10, every one of them was like, this is not what I thought I was coming here for. Because most of the transitioning stuff that is available is all about getting employment and writing resumes.
Yeah. And that makeover for those headshots with
Oh yeah, you know, of course.
what I love about all this conversation and what I think you ladies do, it's like you're really leading by example, because Shelly, you had this idea of redefining you that you should have birthed into the world while you were still in, but it didn't happen. You had to have your moment. You had to have that breaking moment.
Yeah.
Realize
Yeah.
the roadmap to where you needed to be. And you guys are leading by example. Eve, same with you. Before you jumped on board, you went through the symposium because you didn't know what you needed, but you needed it. And now you're a part of the team, but you couldn't have been. I mean, you're fabulous. You're attention to detail and everything, but I don't think you would have been your best self had you not have gone through the symposium first. And
Can
then,
I can I read like my first dollar bill? This is my dollar bill.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I read it on a podcast interview I did, and I just realized I want to read this more often. For a couple of reasons. One, to remind me that I am on the path that God needed me to be on. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, no matter how difficult it gets, no matter how, it just. I'm not doing the wrong thing. I'm doing the right thing, and it's necessary, but also how much it's needed. And so she wrote, Shelly, this is the one that Eve, this is from the very first one. Like I went in, wrote the vision on the plane, and just went and executed. You have no idea how much this conference meant for me. You are inspirational, and I cannot wait to see your visions flourish for others throughout this state and globally. Thank you for investing your everything to empower women to live their life to the fullest. Respectfully. I don't say her name, but yes. So like y'all can't see this, but it's my first dollar bill, and it stays here because sometimes I have to reflect on it. You're responsible, and it's like you're accountable to make sure that you always show up and make this happen. This has to happen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're a one person show or if you just got 2-3 people. At the end of the day, you cannot not do this.
Right.
And so it's all about figuring out, how do we physically do this next year? I love virtual, but everything can't be done virtually. It doesn't resonate and reach people the same way. So it's a whole other thing.
Right. I just think that goes hand in hand with accountability, like doing check-ins, like making sure you're still on the right path, and then reading that feedback and knowing and getting the feedback from people who are going through it. So it's the same thing we're talking about here. I think it goes hand in hand. Eve, did you want to say something?
Just that I know when I went through the first time and I was like, I loved it, I believed in it, I needed it. And then, volunteering, like I literally was still in the active duty, and I was, clearing and doing other things. And I was running into other women who were transitioning, and I was telling them, and they were like, when is this? And I was, like I had women breaking down in front of me while I'm clearing the installation, or in CIF, and I was just talking to them, and they were like, oh, you're getting out, and I'm like, oh, I'm retiring, and they were like, oh, I'm retiring too. I said, how, and I'm like, well, how far along do you have? And they were like, well, I'm like, I got 6 more months or a year. And I said, okay. I said, well, there's an event that's hosted, and I said, and I would give them the information, and then they would ask me what it was about, and I would start talking about it. And as soon as I started telling them like what happened and what goes on during it, they would start actually open. Now we just met. The only reason I know your name is because it's on your chest, and mine is on mine. But they would literally start sharing, and how they were breaking down in front of me. I had at least like 3 women that I met while I was clearing installation and transitioning, that when I told them about redefining your future, the symposium, they just started sharing and breaking down and crying. And then, they cried and I cried. I'm like, oh, stop, because we're crying. Because, and they would just get emotional. And I told them, I said, you need to come. I said, you need to come to this. You need to experience it. And then you'll see what you're feeling right now. I said, you're not by yourself. I said, you'll meet a group of women that are, feel like are overwhelmed just like you are with transitioning out of service.
I think the transition for women potentially might the unique challenge of that could also be because we are more relational and we are more emotional than our male counterparts, whether you want to believe it or not. But when we put on that uniform, we've been masking it for so long. Now we are at this crossroads where you're going to have to spend that quiet time with yourself and realize who you are outside of that uniform. And that's a scary, I want to say,
a lot of people don't want they can't deal with the silence. I mean, they're already combating the fact that they have to let go of what they were doing. Like, I just, and then it gives you, because then you can complain that you could say, I worked up to my last day. That's nothing to celebrate or applaud. You're not holding yourself accountable to start the transition process when it was actually time for you to leave. You've gotten your award, you're done, your replacement is there or not, it's time to go. And you're in the house and you don't know what to do with yourself, because we don't really have a process to which you deal with the personal challenges. And so now you're seeking community and you're trying to find a way and you feel disconnected. And so unless you have the opportunity to participate in a multitude of transition programs, you're not going to necessarily connect with other people on your way out the door. And you're going to make yourself accessible because you feel as though you don't want to you're completely cut off. It's like, going cold turkey. I'm done, and some people prepare for that and some people don't. But what I know for a fact is someone who prepared for retirement. I prepared for retirement. The silence was deafening. It was still deafening. Even though I prepared professionally, but not emotionally, mentally. I didn't prepare.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm and I'm not an overly emotional person. Like, I'm way more task oriented than I am people oriented. Not that I don't love people, but that's just how my brain works. But like, that's why I support y'all so much, is because I think even being in the silence, even being walking through all the healing journey of myself and getting the professional help and the therapy and the counselors and the good friends and the Bible groups and the mentors in my Christian faith and all of those things have helped. But I think if I had something, when I transitioned the first time, I felt like an identity crisis. It felt like a complete identity crisis. I wasn't prepared for it. I was all gung ho and then nothing. And then I got back into the National Guard full time because I couldn't handle it. Like, what I needed was to be back into where I was like busy mode, so I didn't have to deal with myself, right? And so I got back in. But the second time I transitioned out, I was more aware of what that feeling was, and I was more prepared the second time. Not everybody gets a do-over. I was fortunate enough too, but I think that's why you guys are so important in this space, and not only locally but nationally, where your organization is going to be the framework to deal with this stuff, because it's so important. And as we're closing out this conversation, I definitely want you guys to drop some homework if you want them to. But this will drop the day before Giving Tuesday. And I think it's really important to understand why we need to support you guys. And I'm here for it. And we're going to help you guys raise the money. So hopefully when the world opens back up, the symposium comes, you guys give this symposium away for free. You get sponsorships, people take care of it, right? And so I don't know if that model's changing or anything like that, but tell us how we can support you, where we can donate to, how we can donate to you guys, and all of the good things in that.
I'll let Eve do that. She does that really well.
So if you would like to make any donations to our foundation, there's a PayPal link on our foundation page. Is www.redefinedfutureyou.org. There's a PayPal link. All you have to do is click that link and it'll take you to our PayPal and it'll come straight to us. Also, we have an Amazon Smile account. So if you don't have, I know everyone shops on Amazon since COVID happened because their stocks have gone up really, really high. So if you are an Amazon shopper, go look on there and find Amazon Smile. If you don't have a local charity that you're already donating, if you choose Redefining You Foundation, a portion of anything that you purchase on Amazon Smile will go toward our foundation. Also, if you would like sponsorship on our website, there's a link for sponsorship. There's a sponsorship packet that tells you the different types of sponsorship that you can receive when you want to be part of the foundation. So all that is on our link. So, but like I said, we have PayPal. Also, we have Amazon Smile. And also, if you need information, you can contact us at info@redefinefutureyou.org.
And we are on all social media platforms. We just launched our YouTube channel. And so if you go on there, you can see all of our latest videos, interviews that we've done, Crucial Conversations. Our speaker series is going on as well. And you'll be able to find us there on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us everywhere. We are easy to find and very much so activated in galvanizing voices every day, all of the time. So we definitely are excited to partner with anyone who wants to partner with us, and we're here to serve.
Ladies, do you have anything else that you want to say?
Give yourself grace. I know this whole 3-part series may have seemed a little bit heavy. We're talking about accountability. We're talking about forgiveness. We're talking about healing. We're talking about removing your mask. None of that is easy. If it were, everyone would do it. So give yourself grace. One, encourage yourself. Don't rely on other people to give you a pat on the back for taking a step that you should have taken anyway, and you know that's a step you should have taken. Learn how to encourage yourself and build yourself up. So when there are moments where there's silence and there's no one around you, you have a clear indication. There's clear indication that you are motivating yourself. There's something to be said about being self-empowered to move forward. Make sure that that's something that you're seeking to do for yourself. So in the absence of others, you're still doing the work. See, it's not about what people see, it's about what people don't see. And what they see outwardly is a result of the work you're doing. So do that.
That's beautiful. So I
You
used
summed
to
it up.
have 3 questions that I ask at the end. And because we are in our 2nd year, I changed the questions. So I'm going to ask y'all, you both can answer or you guys can take turns at answering. So I've got 3 questions. The first one being, is there a podcast you would recommend our listeners to check out?
Freedom Sisters.
Freedom
I
Sisters podcast.
I think you're the only podcast I really listen to. So yes, Freedom
Oh
Sisters.
my gosh, you guys.
Yes, and follow her on Spotify because
I am
that's
on
what I have.
Spotify. Yes, I'm on all.
I'm like, is this a self-promo? And I'm like, duh.
Because
Freedom Sisters. I want to see Freedom Sisters podcast on that list of military podcasts that should be listened to. There was a list that was shared on LinkedIn, and Freedom Sisters podcast needs to be on that list next year.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see for sure. Okay, well, thanks, y'all. You flatter me. It was not the point with self-promotion, but I appreciate y'all.
Well, no, I was like, I will listen to one podcast, and I think that's yours.
I listen to a lot. I Jay Shetty, he's a good one.
Ooh, yeah, he's good.
He's real good. But yeah.
Awesome. So, second question: what's the most important way you nurture your faith?
Daily work. Daily. Doing something daily. Having my own praise moment. I'm reading scripture or I'm just meditating and praying daily. You have to exercise it daily because daily you will be tested and tried.
Is that right?
Daily.
I think for me is listening to my gospel music. So I rode to Seattle today. So by the time I made it to SeaTac in traffic, because I don't know where people are going, it took me a whole hour to get from Lacey to SeaTac. And by the time I pulled up, I was good. And my nephew got in the car and I was like, okay, I had enough of Jesus on this trip. But, for me, it's listening to music. And then it's like certain songs just hit you, and you listen, especially when you start listening to the words.
I get a lot done when I'm listening to my gospel music. I got to tell you that when I'm listening to my worship music. I was in here going away on this paper. Now I don't know if it makes sense, but I was.
Maybe they're getting a whole lot of Jesus in that paper. That's awesome. Okay, so the third and final question that I have, and then we'll close out, is what was the greatest impact your service has had on your life? Service in the military, obviously, because we're all women who served.
I think the biggest impact that my service did during my service was all my soldiers that I led while I was in, because they still come back to me. They're, they've excelled in their rank from me, which I'm like, I've never been jealous of. I'm like, if you made E7, go ahead. If you went officer, go ahead with it. And I said, but they still reach out to me, even though I'm like not in the military anymore, not in finance, but they still like, if anybody knows, I know you, or someone. So, it's just the fact that they still come back after, I've been, matter of fact, yesterday was my 4-year retirement anniversary. So,
yay,
they still come back, and I still see them on social media, getting promoted, PCSing, having, the families are growing, and we're still in contact. It's the simple fact that, like they said, when you're in the military, that's family.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. What about you? What's the biggest impact on your life because you served?
I just would say that the biggest impact on my life because I served is learning the power of my voice. Like truly knowing the impact that I have, learning it. Sometimes I have to ask Eve, and she has to say, girl, did you, but it's kind of like, it really is, it's about being able to really being empowered to activate my voice. And like people like, well, they think it comes natural, but the military really, for me, it put me in different positions and gave me different opportunities to really cultivate and grow, so that by the time I got out, I was, I was already light years ahead. And then I just had to get comfortable in my new culture, my new belief system outside of uniform. I always say the best job the Army ever gave me was being a drill sergeant. I love that.
Yeah,
that
you don't
for
learn
me
how to
was
use
like,
your voice there. Whew.
it was the best opportunity, but it was less about voice and more about impression, how you can be a walking, talking example of hope for somebody else who says that's something I want to aspire to, and knowing that I had soldiers who were my soldiers as a drill sergeant who became a drill sergeant, and they're telling me that they talk about me still to this day. Let me tell you about my drill sergeant. That means a lot, because that means I did what I was called to do. I think I need people to understand that it's, I was called to do that. I was meant to be there. Were there challenging and challenges and difficulties? Of course, but there was a moment of pruning and growth for me, and it was something that naturally I was able to do, and it just kind of kept going. Being an instructor, all the other things that came after that, those were to me growing and pruning moments that helped me when I transitioned out, to be able to have the difficult conversation, to be able to show up in a room full of people that you don't know and still be able to give them what they need and be bold about that.
Oh, that's my that's my word for 2020 is bold. So whenever that comes up, I'm like, it's a good word right there, Philly. That's a good word. All right. Well, you guys are just amazing. And I just adore each one of you as individuals and what you're doing for the women veteran community and what you're doing at Redefining You. I think it's really important work. So thanks. This was fun. This was a really good, my first series. So y'all, just thank you for trusting me.
Group projects.
Well, we've got Shiro Talk coming up.
We got Shiro Talk.
Hey, let's do a plug it, Carrie. Plug it.
Yeah, so Shiro Talk, y'all, nominations are open. Go to www.shirotalk.com and nominate a speaker. Next year is called The theme is going to be unlock your growth. If you have done something and you've learned from it and you grew from it, you are a subject matter expert to be a woman, make a change in your community, to come and be a guest on our show for Shiro Talk next year, our event, because hopefully it ain't a show. Hopefully it's a real live event and we ain't gotta go virtual again. But if
not, we ready. We ready.
But guess what? We can still sell tickets virtually and still have people in the room. So we can do both.
Yeah, do it. It's gonna be good. So head on over to Shiro Talk, head on over to redefiningyou.org. Y'all, Redefining You Foundation.org, right?
Redefine Future You.
Yeah, redefinefutureyou.org.
There you go. All right. Well, anyway.
Just Google Shelly. Just Google Shelly.
Shelly with S-H-E-L-L-I-E.
I-E.
Oh my gosh, so I could like totally do this all day with you guys. All day. We got an hour time.
You better give me, put some respect on my name. I-E.
Right. Respect it. Or you might get the wrong Shelly. We don't want the wrong
No,
Shelly.
you'll get my daddy. You'll get my daddy. E-Y.
Oh, man, I just enjoy you guys. Thank you so much for this.
No problem. Anytime, group projects. That's us.
Ah, man, wasn't that such a great conversation? I am so thankful for those ladies. Not only are they so dynamic, Eve and Shelly, but they're loyal and honest and true and have such a selfless mindset and selfless heart when it comes to serving others. These ladies are out there doing the things with their organization, Redefining You. And y'all, with this week being Giving Tuesday falling in with this episode, I thought it would be really special for us to try to help them raise some money for their organization. They're always out in the community, helping others, paying it forward, doing the hard work, standing in the cold, helping other organizations, especially during this COVID outreach time. And they have conversations and symposiums and amazing things coming up in 2021. And I just think it'd be really special if we could do a little love for them. So head on over to their website, redefinefutureyou.org. Today, there are multiple ways on their website to donate through PayPal, through Amazon Smiles, or volunteer your time. They're here in Washington State, but I know that they're doing things nationally. So if you have, even volunteering your time, if you have something important to say that will help women veterans, Shelly does an amazing job of hosting these conversations. They're called Crucial Conversations. And even by reaching out to them to donate your time for that would be helpful. But let's love on them this week as we are in that mindset of giving forward. And as y'all know, this year I have decided to round out our conversations with a Bible verse that relates to what we talked about. So today I want to talk about Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so one man or woman sharpens another. Y'all, this goes so well with accountability because it is important to not only be accountable to yourself, but to God and to others as well. And then I thought this quote was really, really great. And so I just want to share this. Who quoted this? I don't know, but this is what they had to say. Have people in your life that will chase you and come after you with love when you are struggling or not at your best. I don't think is any better way to end this conversation than right there. So until next time, friends, I'll see you soon. If you enjoyed this show, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Rate and review this podcast and share with your friends. Until next time, be seen, be heard, be known. Amplify women veterans.